In Wallace's fiction, irony is the enemy. A once useful tool, it is now ubiquitous and empty, co-opted by TV and crass entertainment. Authenticity and sincerity have receded from our sight, but must be recovered somehow.
Say 40 or 50 years ago, the big priority, if you wanted to be a reasonably decent fiction writer, was you didn't offend people.
David Foster Wallace.
As far as I can tell, for my generation and maybe the kids younger than us, there are different things that we're afraid of. We're afraid of being trite. We're afraid of being sentimental. We're afraid of being mawkish. We're afraid of being stale and formulaic, unless we are stale and formulaic in a way that pokes fun at its stale formulaic quality. I mean, we have been taught so much, both by the lessons of television and the saturation of television, what are the things to be afraid of. And one of the big reasons why irony, I mean, it's been the kind of the mode of discourse in the culture for the last 30 years, has really ceased to be palliative or helpful, is that irony is this marvelous carapace that I can use to shield myself from seeming to you to be naive or sentimental, or to buy the lush banalities that television gives, right? If I show you that I believe that we're both bastards and that there's no point to anything and that I was last naive at about age 6, then I protect myself from your judgment of the worst possible flaw in me, sentimentality and naivete, the way a proper appearance of decorum would shield me from your judgment of me as deviant or offensive 30 or 40 years ago. And I can't quite figure it out, but TV and popular culture have, I think, everything to do with that shift of what's the fundamental stuff that we're scared of, not just as people and as writers, and what techniques do we use to shield one another from judgment.
In his BBC interview, Wallace was passionate about the need for the writer to engage with pop culture.
Those of us who write partly as a subject about popular culture are, I think, doing something important, which is that television and popular culture has become so saturated for people our age that we don't notice it's there. We don't notice that much of our experience isn't mediated, but it's got an agenda, right? It's trying to sell us things. That an attempt to, I don't know what you would call it, get behind the scenes, humanize, defamiliarize the experience of a mediated world is, I think, a good and important thing. If nothing else, to slap people kind of unpleasantly across the face and say, there may not be something wrong with 6 to 8 hours of television a day, but it would be very nice for you to remember that you're essentially being offered a sales pitch and a seduction 6 to 8 hours a day. If we forget that, then for some reason, just intuitively, I think we're in huge trouble. At a time in the U.S., I think, when it's very hard to find and commit to things that you think are important or good, at least for me, in some elements of fiction, it seems to me it's a rather high-minded agenda to try to wake people up to the fact that our experience is weird now. There's something weird and thrice removed from the real world about it, and a lot of us don't realize it. What's at stake is, in many ways, human agency about how we experience the world. Would I rather go muck around in the hot sun by the seashore or watch a marvelously put together documentary about the death of egrets? But by the time I go to the goddamn seashore and have seen the egrets, I have already experienced the smooth documentary so many times that it becomes quickly incoherent to talk about an extra-mediated or an extra-televisual reality. Now, that fact in and of itself is frightening. And it's that kind of almost just sort of shooting a flare into the sky and inviting people to say how weird that is. I can go to the ocean that I've never seen before, but I've spent 1,000 hours. I mean, who would want to live when you can watch?